LeBron likes the attention, likes it. Again, and you can sit there and go, oh, you're a LeBron hater or whatever. Like, no, I just don't know anybody who would dispute that. It's not like he's pushing away attention to his private life, to his off court conversations. No, he wants attention to that. He's got a player option. Because if he really, really, really wanted to win in LA, he would go, hey, here's what we'll do. Let's opt out of this, sign a minimal deal or a small deal.
Yep.
Over a couple of years, and then let's go to work and go get me some guys that can play some defense. And he wielded that power to get them to draft Bronny and play Bronny.
Chess moves.
Way above the level of his competency at the time in which he was drafted.
Doug Gottlieb goes off on LeBron James for wanting all the attention. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
So technically, LeBron James has a player option, right? A player option. So he can not sign or opt out of his player option, become a free agent, and essentially pick where he wants to go.
He could.
Right. But LeBron James at 40 years old, well, his options are kind of limited. Nonetheless, Rich Paul, his agent, was on the Rich Eisen show, and he asked about LeBron's upcoming player option this offseason. I don't talk about that. Well, I mean, you are his agent and his best friend, so look, we can just cut to the brass tacks. LeBron's not going anywhere, right? They just drafted his son, and I'm sure he wants to leverage some of whatever farewell tour he has, okay, to potentially draft his other son, Bryce, who's going to be a freshman in Arizona. I'm sure that's probably part of the weight on his mind, right?
Yeah, LeBron is definitely playing the leverage game. I don't see him leaving. Anything's a possibility, but for him to go through all that to get Bronny on the team and then to bounce the next season, still trying to play, it's one thing if he's going to retire, then it is what it is. But if he wants to wait until Bryce is eligible to play next season in 2026, I can see him staying around. Having that no trade clause, he pretty much got the Lakers, in the chokehold. He's going to do everything in his power to get Bryce in the league and to see if he can get Bronny to the next level to at least be competitive and have a decent NBA career after he retires. I doubt it's going to happen, but LeBron James, he'll find some way to play chess with the Lakers and make some more moves before he retires.
Is this the last year, or do I wait another year and make that the last year?
Probably next season.
And we could act like, hey, LeBron, he could just walk away at any time. But does anyone think that a guy who has gotten and honestly earned as much attention as he's gotten, like, we can sit there and say a lot of these things are attention-getting things, but I mean, have we seen a guy play as consistently well for 20 years in the NBA? No. Is he as good as he used to be? No, but to those of us who remember Kareem playing at 40, he was much more of a shell of his former incredible self.
Yeah, LeBron's still a decent player, still going to give you about 20 to 25 points per game, even in the next 2 or 3 years if he decides to play. But again, he's just playing the leverage game. He wants to see what Bronny can turn into. He wants to see if he can get Bryce in there. So if he has to struggle and kind of wait it out another season or two, he can do that. Struggling for Bron is like trying to get to 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. For most NBA players, they can get a huge contract with that. But for LeBron James, his consistency, that would be a drop-off. But again, I can see LeBron James playing at least another season this year and next year. So that's 2 seasons just to make sure he can play with his other son, Bryce, and to see how Bronny James could develop.
So again, I'm not the guy that's sitting there hating on LeBron, telling you, oh my God, LeBron wants attention. Like, look, when you've gotten this much attention since you were 16 years old, and you've lived up to and probably exceeded anybody's reasonable expectations for what you could do or how well you could do it or how long you could do it, how well you could do it, you're going to get a bunch of attention, and it's a really, really hard lifestyle to get out of.
The thing with LeBron and the attention, yeah, he earned the attention by his consistency, but he can change these narratives as well. You got a lot of people in media, Gilbert, Rich Paul, Nick Wright, Shannon Sharpe, just to name a few, and some other people in up-and-coming media as well. So just with his power, his consistency, being a, quote-unquote legend, yeah, he's going to turn that media attention and he's going to use it to his advantage to put out certain stories and to change these narratives.
But if we're honest, he's not going anywhere.
No.
And he's not retiring without some sort of ceremonious retirement celebration. Like, Kareem wants far less attention, yet Kareem did the whole tour after becoming the all-time leading scorer in the game. LeBron likes the attention, likes it. Again, and you can sit there and go, oh, you're a LeBron hater or whatever. Like, no, I just don't know anybody who would dispute that. Right? It's not like he's pushing away attention to his private life, to his off-court conversations. No, he wants attention to that.
Yeah, of course LeBron wants the attention, and he can talk about it from time to time and may have some issues with it. But let's be real. At the point that he's at in his career, everything that he's doing in media, why not have all the attention? Why not try to leverage that? Again, it's all a leverage play with LeBron using that attention. He's not going to lead the Lakers, even though I may troll sometimes and say he's going to a different team. But being a realist, having that no trade clause, he's not going anywhere. Now, if his next deal, if he doesn't have a no trade clause, then maybe he may leverage that to be like, you know what, go ahead, trade me to the Cavs or trade me to another team. But as long as he has these no trade clauses, he's not going anywhere. He's going to try to leverage the Lakers for another 2 or 3 years, try to get Bryce in the league, see what Bronny can do, and then he'll step away. That's when LeBron James will officially retire.
So, he's got his production company. That's his little baby. He makes movies and does documentaries out of it. All great. All of that requires attention that, hey, we have this here, and you get that through LeBron James getting attention. But, I mean, this is like a nonsensical question. He's got a player option. Because if he really, really, really wanted to win in L.A., he would go, hey, here's what we'll do. Let's opt out of this, sign a minimal deal or a small deal.
Yep.
Over a couple of years, and then let's go to work and go get me some guys that can play some defense.
Yeah, that'd be a great way for LeBron James to get good attention. LeBron James playing for the league minimum or a few million just to build a team around him and Luka and for the future of the Lakers. Think about all they did, the whole Bronny thing, all the negative backlash online and major platforms. If he takes the league minimum or a few million just to bolster this Lakers roster, get them better, that's going to be good as far as his legacy. He took less to try to win a couple more championships. Imagine if he got a ring or two in his mid-40s, 44, 45. That'd be a good look for LeBron James and his legacy. If he really wants to play chess with the media, he may want to consider that.
When Rich talks about the Lakers being on pins and needles, like, is that what you need? Is that because that's obviously leverage. Why would you do this? You would only do it is if you want to have some sort of power over the organization that you play for, right?
Yeah, LeBron wants the power. Even though he's about to be, 41? He still wants to have the power. He still wants to kind of create these narratives, change the narratives. He wants that power still, even in his later stages of his career when he should be thinking about retirement, having the power in Cleveland for the first time, having the power somewhat in Miami, and then having the power again in Cleveland, and then with the Lakers. So if you're LeBron James, you got all the power that you needed. You made a lot of moves in the NBA. Got your son in the league and could possibly get your other son, Bryce, in the league. So that just lets you know LeBron James, he still wants the power and he wants the attention. He wants to run the Lakers until he retires.
And he used and he wielded that power to get them to draft Bronny and play Bronny.
Chess moves.
Way above the level of his competency at the time in which he was drafted. And whether or not Bronny becomes a full-time NBA player and a guy who's a reasonable rotation player has actually nothing to do with the farce that took place last offseason. Because last offseason, we were told there was multiple teams interested. There weren't.
No.
You had J.J. Redick in one of his first press conferences saying he earned where he was drafted. He didn't. Again, it doesn't mean that you can't draft a guy. You're like,
let's be real. The only reason JJ said that was to stay on the good side of LeBron. Now that LeBron James is going to be out the door in a few seasons, he can start being honest. As soon as LeBron walks out that Lakers door, Bronny might as well just do the same thing. Go ahead and stay in the G League and be a G League legend. But JJ Redick, he's just trying to keep his job, trying to stay in good standings with the Lakers. But it's all just to please LeBron James. We already know what JJ really thinks about Bronny James.
allowed to draft a guy and say, hey, he went through a hard issue. He had a hard first year at USC, but we see the future as being bright. But to sit there and go like, well, he earned it. Like, doing what?
No, yeah, come on, bro.
But nonetheless, that was all because LeBron has power and he leveraged it. And he's like, look, I don't want to leave LA, but I also want to help raise my kid, coach my kid, see my kid grow. You guys are going to draft him. He'll play some with us and some of the G League, travel with him. It'll be an awesome experience. And I'm sure for Bronny, it probably was outside of a lot of the yakking on it.
But I think it had a lot of negative side effects on Bronny's mental. Playing with his pops in LA, playing for that organization, it was a lot of pressure. His confidence was shot. Bronny talked about plenty of times that in most of his post-game interviews, it was always about confidence. That was his main thing. He may have lost some confidence playing with the Lakers, playing with his pops. I think it meant more for LeBron than it did for Bronny James.
And for LeBron too, right? Yeah, some of that stuff, strikes close to home and really hurt him. But when he zooms out, he's like, I got to spend a whole year with my son in and out of the NBA. Probably wants to do it with Bryce, whether or not Bryce isn't even as good as Bronny.
Who knows? It could happen.
So he has power. He's trying to leverage that power. That's the only reason for doing it. Because at some point you start talking about this stuff and guys are just rolling their eyes like, oh, yeah. He's not going to retire without a proper send-off. The league wouldn't want him to do that either. And we can act like the league is, well, it's like something nefarious from the league. It's not. It's not. If the league could have done it with Jordan, they would have done it with Jordan. But with LeBron, I mean, they don't want to kill the golden goose. They want him around as long as possible. They just want to keep milking it. And you can sit there and go like, I'm tired of LeBron. But if it comes out and LeBron says, hey, this is my retirement tour, you're going and gobbling up those tickets. You're going to watch TV a lot more. Because it's LeBron. He's Haley's Comet. It ain't coming around for another 87 years.
Yeah, the league definitely wants LeBron to stay as long as possible, and they would want to know if this is going to be his farewell tour. Think about what happened with Kobe and his farewell tour. They're going to do the same thing for Bron, but times 10, just because the era of social media, ticket sales, everything is going to be running up when it comes to the NBA, milking LeBron James. So if they can get another 2 years of LeBron, and then hopefully retirement talks start to happen in his final season, they're going to do everything in their power to run up those numbers and get as much as they can out of LeBron on his retirement tour.
Speaking of this LeBron thing, one thing about this. So, was a little less than a year ago, we all witnessed that ruse, that circus, where the Lakers tried to convince the public that Bronny was a legitimate draft prospect.
Sure.
And then they drafted him and said that he earned it. And then they gave him the guaranteed deal for a second round pick. You're saying to me that LeBron would compel a historic franchise like the Lakers to do something embarrassing like that and lie to the public and then not come back after 1 year? I mean, doesn't he owe the Lakers something for that massive favor of being able to play with his son and do that thing where he invited the Griffies in and nobody cared but him? Wait, doesn't he owe the Lakers at least one more season?
Yeah, I think he owes the Lakers a lot. He may owe the Lakers taking a massive pay cut to make their team more competitive and to help Luka finally win a championship. So they did what they had to do to get Bronny, took a lot of negative hits in the media. A lot of people on mainstream media talked trash about the Lakers drafting Bronny. They couldn't really say it outright, but they were pretty much saying this shouldn't have happened. He's not NBA ready. Why would you waste a draft pick on Bronny when you got a lot of talent that you could have drafted or signed some people from the G League like Quincy Oliveri? So yeah, LeBron owes a lot to the Lakers, and he needs to stay around as long as possible and take a pay cut to make the team better.
I mean, I think the answer in terms of reality is yes. But in terms of LeBron, does he think he owes them that? I don't think the answer is yes. I just don't. And you know what? He might have a little bit of a point, right? Because he didn't play every game, but for 40 years old, he gave him a lot. And he does compete to win. And he is a gigantic name. So does he owe it to them? Of course he owes it to them. But again, you're looking at this as a non-parent, rational human being that hasn't had fame thrust upon them and been told they could do no wrong. Like he had his show called The Shop, right? Which was the barber shop. And he actually sued Nick Saban because they had a similar show because he believed he invented barbershop conversation being recorded. Like, what? What do you think the essence of First Take is? What are we even talking about? But when you live in a world where everybody just says, hey, whatever you say, King, it's really hard to tell if up is up and down is down.
Yeah, again, in retrospect, he owes a lot to the Lakers. But yeah, coming from the mind of LeBron, his thought process is, well, as long as I'm here, the debt is paid. So I get what Gottlieb is saying, but, with LeBron, his thinking is different. I guess he felt as though, hey, I won a championship. I'm still playing at a high level. So it is what it is, man. You drop my son Bronny, think about what I did for the Lakers. But I think it extends past that. He should take a pay cut, if not the league minimum, maybe 15, 20 million, try to open up that cap space and try to help the Lakers get another star player, because he's going to try to do everything in his power to get Bryce on the Lakers. If that happens, I don't think it's no coming back from the Lakers. They're going to be trashed forever in the media if they draft Bryce James.